Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of Gooey's Dungeon Dive, the mini podcast where I rank every dungeon chronologically in the Legend of Zelda series. Today is episode 2, and we're on to our second dungeon of the original Legend of Zelda for the NES. This one is level 2, the Moon, which is another simple yet evocative, I guess, maybe even recognizable look for a dungeon. It looks like a moon. It makes for a slightly stranger layout than the Eagle did, but it's pretty cool. It's got kind of like two paths, I guess, or two columns that lead, sort of from the entrance to the boss up top, and it's that section of it is pretty open with keys. You actually get more keys in this than there are locked doors, and there's like bombable walls, and you can still not spend a lot of them and crisscross back and forth. So it's kind of cool. It's like almost like a proto gauntlet type thing, especially with some of the tougher enemies they have in this. It is a minor step up in difficulty, I think, from level 1, so that's kind of cool. It's just a little bit, but in just the right way, so it gets kudos for that for sure. It's particularly with the enemies, so even with the weaker ones, like there's ropes, who are essentially snakes. They charge at you. When you get in their like line of sight, basically on the grid, they'll come after you, and they're pretty weak. They go down in one hit no matter what your sword's at, but just the fact they're charging at you and they can hit you if you don't time it right, they can wear down your health, and there's a lot of them, so that definitely is a factor for sure. You've got there's one room with just some random moldorms, I think they are. And it's weird. It's just like one room filled with sand, because I guess that's where they like to live, and they're there just flying around or whatever they do. They take, if you don't upgrade your sword yet, they take a lot of hits, thankfully you could avoid them, or you could use bombs, which takes them down pretty good. There's one room in particular. It's just one room, but this dungeon, it's got your red Gorias from the last one, but now it also has blue Gorias, and again, depending on how strong you are, they could take a lot of hits. And the room they're in, it also has fireballs coming at you, so it's a little tricky. I mean, you don't really have to go in that room, is the thing. You wouldn't really know that initially playing, but if you want to get, I guess, the item of this dungeon, you would want to fight them. Though I don't know if you really want it. This dungeon's item is the magical boomerang, which is kind of weak, I think. It's like there's a couple Zelda games that do this, and it's weird it happens in the first one, where you basically just get the same item again. And this is particularly egregious because it's like you just got the boomerang in the last dungeon, and now here's the magical boomerang, and it's functionally very similar. It just goes farther on the screen, which can be annoying. Like, if you it's good because it kills like some of the weaker enemies, but if you like miss them and then have to wait for it to come back, it's actually kind of annoying. So I don't know, points off for that, I guess. We also continue the trend of the first dungeon with old man hints, and this is maybe an even more iconic one. I don't know, but he tells us Dodongo dislikes smoke, which is a very helpful hint for, of course, the boss of this game, Dodongo, who becomes a regular in the series. So it's here we go. We got an introduction for Dodongo, who in this game is like a little like Triceratops or something, a little tiny dinosaur. It's very cute, actually, and I kind of feel bad killing this guy because he's just stomping around. He's not really harming anybody. But anyway, the hint we get, Dodongo dislikes smoke, is meant to tell us that we need to put bombs in his mouth, which is kind of cool because the series goes on to becoming, to be more puzzle based, and the bosses in particular a lot of times have like specific, puzzles associated with them, and this is our first like puzzle boss. So You know, laying the groundwork there, and this way of, you know, killing Dodongo becomes a reoccurring thing. So that's, you know, shout out to that. Shout out to Dodongo. It's not a very tough boss. Though if you run out of bombs or are in the wrong spot, I guess it can get to you, but you know, there you go. So that was level 2, the moon. How do we feel about it compared to level 1? That's our only other game we're ranking right now. So it's either better or worse. And I'm thinking that I'm going to put it just below. I think it's a good dungeon. Again, I think it's a good step up. We've got Dodongo, that's classic. But, you know, I think, again, the layout is not as good, though it is good. I think it's not as good as level 1. And on top of that, just I think not only the blue Gorias being added right after their appearance in the first dungeon, it's okay to reuse the enemies, but I think doing like and now they're blue this early, maybe bad, maybe a little too soon to pull that out, but that's all right. And then the big thing is the magical boomerang. Kind of a letdown, disappointment, you know, especially, I don't know, maybe this ties into the first dungeon a little bit with getting the bow, but then not being able to use it. Like maybe, you know, we could have had the boomerang there and then the bow now, and maybe you could have, you know, had arrows by now. I don't know. I'm not trying to fix this or anything right now, but I still think it's a good dungeon, but not as good as level 1, the classic iconic opening to the Legend of Zelda series. So that's our list so far. We've got level 2 at number 2, and of course number 1 is level 1, the Eagle. So right now that's the best dungeons in Zelda according to my list. What do you think? Is level 2 better? I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. Give us a like, subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and of course, thanks for watching.